Hi guys, welcome to lesson 3-4, solving multi-step inequalities. Our objective for the day is that I can solve multi-step inequalities. Our essential understanding is that you solve a multi-step inequality the same way you would solve a one-step inequality. You use the properties of inequality to transform the original into a series of simpler equivalent inequalities. Just like we were working with the equations, we're doing the same process here. The only thing we need to pay attention to that's different is when we multiply or divide by a negative number. Then we got to little pay attention, but other than that, we're good. All right, so we have Mr. Wolf with us today. Ms. Zierzo is taking a bit of a break because of her comments on Ellison, so sorry, Ellison. Moving on, problem number 1. Using more than one step, we want to know what are the solutions of each inequality. So letter A, the first step we're going to do is we're going to subtract 30 from both sides of that equation. And we get that 20 is greater than 0.8x. All right, now we divide both sides of our equation by 0.8. And we find that 25 is greater than x. All right, letter B, we have negative 2 minus y over 5, so we're going to add 2 to both sides. And we're left with negative y over 5 is less than 25. Now we get rid of the negative 1/5 by multiplying both sides by negative 5. And y is going to be greater than negative 125. All right. Letter C, we need to subtract 5 from both sides of that equation. We're left with negative 9 is less than negative 3n. Divide both sides by negative 3. And we find that 3 is greater than n. All right. You guys go ahead and pause it. Give letter A, B, and C a try, and then come back. All right. So for letter A, we're going to add 7 to both sides of our equation. So negative 6a is less than or equal to 24. Then we divide both sides of the equation by negative 6. And a is going to be less or greater than or equal to negative 4. Okay. Letter B, we're going to add 13 to both sides of the equation. So w over 8 is going to be greater than 7. Multiply both sides of our equation by 8. And w is going to be greater than 56. Letter C, we are going to combine like terms first. So 7x plus 2x is 9x minus 1 is less than or equal to 29. Add 1 to both sides. 9x is less than 30. Divide both sides by 9. And x is going to be less than or equal to 3.3, repeating, or 30 over 9. All right. Either way, whether you want to represent it as a fraction or as a decimal, that's your choice. I'm going to be all right with either. Okay, problem number 2, writing and solving a multi-step inequality. So we are given the scenario. We want to make a rectangular banner that is 18 feet long, and you have no more than 48 feet of trim for the banner. What are the possible widths of our banner? All right, so we know the trim goes around the perimeter. So we're going to use that equation and we'll make an inequality out of it. So our perimeter equation is 2 times the width plus 2 times the length. Okay, Well, let's do this as an inequality. We know the maximum perimeter we can have is 48 feet. So 48 is going to be greater than or equal to 2 times the width, we don't know the width, plus 2 times the length, which we know is 18. So now we just need to multiply. 48 is going to be greater than or equal to 2w plus 36. Subtract 36 from both sides. We have 12 is less than, or greater than or equal to 2w. And we need to divide by 2. And our width is going to be less than or equal to 6, and don't forget your units, feet. All right. Now, letter B, we want to fence in a rose bed that is adjacent to a deck. The length of the deck is 14 feet, and you have at most 44 feet of fencing. We want to know what are our possible widths. So let's think about this scenario. If we are up against a deck, do we need to have a fence on the deck side? No, we don't. We only need a fence on the outside. All right, so we've got, instead of being 2 times the length plus 2 times the width, we're going to use just the length plus 2 times the width, because we're only going to put fencing on the 3 sides of the garden that are exposed. All right, and we know our length is going to be 14 feet. So we have 44 is greater than or equal to 14 plus 2w. And we're going to subtract 14 from both sides. We find that 30 is going to be greater than or equal to 2w. Divide both sides by 2. And 15 feet is greater than or equal to the width. All right, so we can have at most a 15-foot wide rose bed. All right. Moving on to page number 2 and problem number 2. We have, a little further down. All right, so we're going to use the distributive property for problem number 3. So let's start off. We do distribute -2 times x and -2 times -5. So we have -2x plus 10 is less than or equal to 10. Subtract 10 from both sides of our equation. -2x is less than or equal to 0. Divide both sides by -2. And we have x is greater than or equal to 0. Okay. Letter B, we need to distribute. Remember, we are distributing the negative sign as well, so it's a -2 that's being distributed. So 15 is less than or equal to 5 minus 8m minus 14. 5 minus 14 combine like terms. 15 is going to be less than -8m minus 9. Add 9 to both sides of our equation. 24 is less than or equal to -8m. Divide both sides by -8. And we have -3 is greater than or equal to m. Letter C, we are going to multiply. We need to distribute the 2. So 2 times y, 2 times -1. So we have 2y minus 2 plus 3y is less than 2. Combine like terms. 2y plus 3y is 5y. Minus 2 is less than 2. Add 2 to both sides of our equation. We have 5y is less than 4. And we can divide both sides of our equation by 5. And we can just leave that as a fraction, 4/5. If you choose to write it as a decimal, it's 0.8, but that's an easy one that you can just leave there. Okay, so why don't you guys try the 3 below and come back and check your answers. All right, for letter A, we need to distribute the -3 to x and -2. So we get -3x plus 6 is less than or equal to -3. So we're going to subtract 6 from both sides. -3x is less than or equal to -9. Divide both sides by -3, and x is going to be greater than or equal to a +3. Okay, letter B, we're going to distribute 2 times 4x and 2 times 1. So we have 8x plus 2 minus 10x is less than or equal to 20. So combine like terms. 8 minus 10x is -2x plus 2 is less than or equal to 20. Subtract 2 from both sides. -2x is less than or equal to 18. Divide both sides by -2. And x is going to be greater than or equal to -9. Letter C, we're going to start with distributing 4 times x and 1. So 4x plus 4 plus 2x is greater than or equal to -2. Combine like terms. 4x plus 2x is 6x plus 4 is greater than or equal to -2. Subtract 4 from both sides. 6x is greater than or equal to -6. Divide both sides by 6, and x is going to be greater than or equal to -1. All right. Problem number 4, solving inequalities with variables on both sides. We're going to do the same approach as we did with the equations, where we are going to get all of our variables to one side first and then all our constants to the other. So let's start looking at letter A. It would probably be easiest for us to move the -2b, so we're going to add 2b to both sides of our equation. Remember, my goal is always to try to keep our variables positive as often as I can. So we have 5b plus 12 is greater than 27. Subtract 12 from both sides of our equation. And 5b is going to be greater than 15. Divide both sides by 5. And b is going to be greater than 3. Letter B, 4n plus 2. So let's subtract that 4n from both sides. So we have a +2 is less than or equal to 3n minus 13. We're going to add 13 to both sides. 15 is less than 3n. Divide both sides by 3. And 5 is less than n. Okay, letter C. We need to use the distributive property first. So 3 times x is 3x. And 3 times -2 is -6. Is greater than or equal to 3x minus 5. Subtract 3x from both sides. And -6 is greater than or equal to -5. Now, this one shouldn't be in this section yet. We'll give you a preview. That one has no solution because -6 is not greater than -5. That one should be in the next section. Sorry, guys. All right. Why don't you give letters A, B, and C a try, and then we will go over them. So letter A, our first step is going to be to subtract 2x from both sides of our equation. We're left with 2x plus 7 is less than or equal to negative 1. So we're going to subtract 7 from both sides of our equation. 2x is less than or equal to negative 8. Divide both sides by 2. And x is going to be less than or equal to negative 4. All right, letter B, we've got a whole bunch of distribution that we've got to do. I was very mean with this problem. So negative 2 times 8d, negative 2 times negative 9, and we need to distribute that negative sign on the right. So let's just start first step first. 3d minus 16d plus 18 is going to be greater than 3 minus 2d plus, or minus 7. Combine like terms. 3 minus 16 is going to be negative 13. D plus 18 is going to be greater than, we've got the 3 minus 7 that we can combine. That's going to be negative 4 minus 2d. So we're going to add 2d to both sides of the equation. So we have negative 11d plus 18 is greater than negative 4. Subtract 18 from both sides. Negative 11d is greater than negative 22. Divide both sides by negative 11. And d is going to be less than or less than 2. Okay, letter C, we have two distributions to do. So we have 4 times y and 4 times negative 7, and 2 times y and 2 times 9. So we get 4y minus 28 is less than or equal to 2y plus 18. So I'm going to subtract 2y from both sides of the equation, inequality. We're left with 2y minus 28 is less than or equal to 18. We're going to add 28 to both sides. So 2y is less than or equal to 46. Divide both sides by 2. And y is going to be less than or equal to 23. It's a great number, 23. All right. Last page of our notes, we're going to be dealing with inequalities with special solutions, which I've already kind of given you a little bit of a preview of on accident. So these are going to be just like our special cases with equations. We have those situations that are going to come up with inequalities as well. So 9 plus 5n is less than or equal to 5n minus 1. So let's subtract 5n from both sides of our equation. Okay, so we've got 9 is less than or equal to negative 1. Is that true?
No.
No, not true. So that would be no solution. If our inequality is not true, and there's no variables left, it is no solution. All right, let's take a look at letter B. We've got to start off by combining like terms. So we've got 7x minus x, which is going to be 6x. So we have 8 plus 6x is greater than or equal to 6x plus 2. Subtract 6x from both sides of our equation. And we have 8 is greater than or equal to 2. Is that true?
Yes.
Yes. So that is going to be infinitely many solutions, IMS. So that means any number we can plug in would be true for that inequality. So why don't you guys try letters A and B, and then we will come back with the answers. So we're going to start letter A by distributing 3 times 8 and 3 times 3r. So we have 9r plus 15 is less than or equal to 24 plus 9r. And now we're going to subtract 9r from both sides. 15 is less than or equal to 24. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay, so that is infinitely many solutions. Or I guess when we did equations, we called these identities. Same thing applies. All right, letter B. We start off by distributing 2 to y and 2 to 3. So we have 3y plus 4 is greater than or equal to 2y plus 6 plus y.
Just greater than. No, equal to.
Oh, just greater than. All right. Combined like terms, 2y plus y is going to be 3y. So we got 3y plus 4 is greater than 3y plus 6. Subtract 3y from both sides. And 4 is greater than 6. Is that true?
No.
So then it is no solution. All right. That's it for the notes for this one, guys. Make sure that you are filling out your rating scales on how you think you're doing with this lesson. Make sure you write down any questions that may have come up. I know this is kind of a confusing topic for some. And please make sure that you are writing in your summaries. Thanks, guys, and we will see you in class.